Welcome to the fourth and last episode of HIVEMIND, the leak. Trigger warning: this episode contains mentions of murder and drugs. Laya had been laying sleepless all night. She finally felt like she could begin grieving, and her thoughts wouldn't leave her alone. She knew what had happened to her son and knew that they were close to solving who killed him. As the moonlight hit her eyes through the blinds in her bedroom, her phone rang. She wondered why David was calling her this late at night. She couldn't believe her own ears when David told her what he had found. All the pieces finally fell into place in her head. Her son had discovered a drug ring involving Georgian government officials and was killed. His disappearance was a cover-up. All the pain she felt from people not taking her seriously made sense. They were told to ignore her. But some of the news had slipped out since the Georgian government was acting a bit too carefully. David then told Laya that their best option would be to leak the information to different news publishers. Surely, they couldn't ignore the implications that would come from such a big discovery. Laya was not hesitant. She could finally get some attention to her son's disappearance, and maybe something could be done about the shady things happening in the Georgian government. It made so much sense to leak what David had discovered, and so she told him to go ahead. As she went back to bed, she was feeling sentimental. Finally, this chapter of unknowingness would be closed, and she could start grieving her loss. Laya woke up to the noise of a big crowd. Faint and muted noises had replaced the usual morning silence she would get from her village. Still half asleep, she went to look out her bedroom blinds but was immediately blinded by a dozen bright lights. Squinting, trying to see what the cause of the light was, she saw what looked like at least 50 people outside her house. Cameras, microphones, and black suits filled up her vision. Staring with disbelief, she couldn't quite believe the contrast between this and what she had experienced the last 2 weeks. Not knowing what to do, she went on with her day, ignoring the paparazzis and journalists outside her door. On one last call with David, he apologized to Laya. Leaking the information this way was not a good idea. He told her how the scene of the crime, having no real police covering already, was ruined by people coming to report on the news, just like they had come to her house. After hearing this, Laya felt her sadness change. She knew what had happened to her son, but she realized that his case never would be officially closed after this. As the days went on, the spectacle seekers, paparazzis and journalists didn't stop bothering Laya. After 3 days, she had to leave the house to get groceries. When facing the wall of people, she realized that they didn't care about her or her son. They were only there to get news about the apparent corruption and drug trading happening within the Georgian government. The attention made Laya's life miserable. Laya spent her days grieving, feeling alone, but surrounded by countless people who didn't care about her or her son. And all of this only happened because of her son wanting the best for her that one night 2 weeks ago, when going hunting. This is how HIVEMIND ends. With Laya never being given a real option to grieve for 10 years, and the issues within the Georgian government becoming common knowledge, but with nothing ever being done about it. All this anger, sadness, and love towards her estranged son is what Laya has put into her Eurovisn't 14 entry. She is excited to share her story with the world, with her song titled Estranged Equilibrist. Thank you all for watching and being a part of this experiment. Your choices did matter.